So good morning and welcome. My name is Julia Roberts. I live and work in Lincoln in Selwyn. I'm delighted that to be involved in this webinar series looking at digital marketing and how you can use it to get yourself and your business found online. The landscape of marketing has changed. It's unrecognisable from when I first started my first business sort of too many years ago, and we literally just had yellow pages, a few leaflets, and if I was a bit flash I went in the local magazine. Things have really changed, and I hope that this webinar series will give you the tools and easy steps that you can take, because it can feel very overwhelming. So let's look at what we're going to cover today. And we're going to look at the digital marketing space. What does that mean? And I appreciate there's lots of technical terms, and you'll hear things and you'll see adverts on Facebook all the time telling you should do this new hack and that new special thing. We're going to give you very direct and simple steps for you to be able to move forward. I work with businesses here in New Zealand, a lot in Christchurch and Selwyn, some in Australia, some in the UK, and we want to make it, all we're doing here in any marketing is starting a conversation. And I want to make it, we're going to couch it so that you can really see how real that can be and how you can do it. And we're going to give you a bit of a working time frame as well. So how on earth do you get it all done? You're busy running your business, right? You've got stock and team and accounts and looking after customers, and then you've got this big pile of marketing that comes in the background, and how on earth do you get it all done? So again, we're going to look at some simple steps to help you get there. Is your website important? Where does that sit in the middle of your digital marketing? Should you be bothered? Should you just be on Facebook these days? And we're going to look today, we're going to start the first kind of impetus for things rolling and look at content marketing. You've probably heard that term. I'm going to explain it and give you your next steps and some help to get it done. To support these webinars, we put together some free tools and resources that you can use after this has ended. I'm going to give you the link in a second, so that you can work through at your own pace and gradually implement the steps that we're talking about here. So these are the resources. It's the only link you're going to need to write down today. So nichemarketing.co.nz/Selwyn-webinars. So in there, we will put a copy of these presentation notes. You don't need to madly write down everything that I'm saying. I'd love you to really sit back and take in the essence of what we're saying and how you can make this work for your business. And we've also recorded videos, done checklists, and we've got other documents that will help you get all of this done. And it is one step at a time. We're not saying you should do all of this straight away. This is one step at a time, and hopefully we've structured the 3 webinars. Now they all stand alone, and if you just watch one, you'll get lots of help. But if you watch all 3, then they definitely build on each other, and they all interlink. So you'll see how by the end of that, you'll have more of a system in place. You can ask questions during the webinar, so the Q&A is open. I'm going to keep us tight today and in the hour, because I appreciate how valuable your time is. It's our most valuable asset. So I'll make sure that we only run for the hour. If I've got time to answer the questions live, I will. Otherwise, we'll circle back and we'll answer them in the follow-up webinars or through the Selwyn Council website. And all of these are going to be recorded, so you can see them on YouTube, and we can answer some questions there as well. So do ask away. I'm going to keep on going so you can see how it all links together, and then answer questions with the time that we have available. So digital marketing, what is it? The act of promoting and selling products and services by leveraging online tactics such as social media, email marketing, search marketing. Digital marketing is simply marketing. It's how today's businesses are getting themselves and their message in front of the best prospects and customers. And the number 1 rule of marketing is to make the right offer at the right time in the right place. And today, your customers are online. They're not scouring through yellow pages or the local newspaper as they used to. So, but I like we've already said, I appreciate that can feel very overwhelming, and it's there's always too many things to do. So you should have a YouTube channel, you should be on Instagram, you definitely need to be on Facebook, you've got ads, you've got Google ads, you've got pay-per-click. You've got all of these things that you could be doing, and you just probably need to cherry pick one or two that will really work for you. And this series will pull together a kind of joined up version for you, which I hope will help you move forward. So why should you bother? The stats are quite overwhelming. 93% of New Zealanders are on the internet now, and 2/3 of those have an unlimited data plan. They have a machine in their hand, and we have the tools as business owners to get our targeted message literally into the hands of our perfect customers. We've never had such opportunities as business owners, but obviously the reverse side of that, there's almost too much to do. Social media by far is the fastest growing channel for digital marketing. It has now overtaken traditional media print marketing, and a really important stat is that New Zealanders are spending nearly 2 hours a day on social media networks. Now that's nearly catching up with TV. I think TV at the moment is 2 hours 28 on average a day. So people are on their phones. They are hanging out on these platforms. So instead of people reading the newspaper, they are hanging out on the social channels. So we just need to make sure that you are seen there and in the right way. So there's huge stats. Google My Business is a huge part of this. And as Yoast here, which is an SEO plugin for WordPress websites, clearly says Google My Business continues to be the biggest driver of local SEO. What does that mean? So search engine optimizations, that's what SEO means. And what we're talking about here is that you will Google your free listing, and I'm going to keep talking about it, it's completely free, you don't have to pay for it, is still the most powerful way to get your own website found through Google My Business. And we're going to look at that in a bit more detail, and we've done some really good training for you on that. Let's look at some of the stats. So why Google? Why none of the others? Well, very clearly in New Zealand, 94% of people are using and choosing Google as their search engine option. And it's pretty similar across the world, a little bit lower in the UK, 95.5% in Australia. So will your business get found? Will your website, will your social channels get found when someone is Googling for the products and the services that you provide? 46% of Google searches are local. And if you run a local business, which I know many of you will do, and you have a very distinct sort of geographical area for your customers to find you, then most searches are looking for that local expertise. They are looking for the products and services that you provide. And we're here to help you make sure that you show up on those searches. And 78%, now this stat really blew my mind, I did go away and check it, but 78% of local mobile searches result in purchases. And that's purchases, it could be, signing up for an event, it could be actually phoning you, or actually turning into hard cash and becoming a paying customer. Back in 2006, searches on mobile phones for the first time overtook searches on computers, on desktops. So we've been, we're kind of, that's matured now. We're in 2021. And the stats I've been sharing with you so far are generally taken from sort of this time last year. I think we all appreciate that, given all of the changes and everything's happened in our COVID world, strengthening our business by having a strong online presence has become even more important. Now, I am definitely not, it's digital or no marketing. I believe we should all have online and offline marketing. But this seminar is to look at that digital part of how you get found and why people should be using your business. And if you there's so many options for them. There are so many messages at them coming at them day after day, that how on earth are you going to be found and stand out? And how can you work all this and still run your business? So let's stand back and have a look at the overview of what I'd love us to create together over these 3 seminars. So first of all, the first part of your digital marketing plan is to create content. And what do I mean by that? I mean, we are going to be answering questions and sharing our expertise, so that we can build trust online. There's a really strong stat by Google that says 70% of people, before they even pick up the phone to even make that first initial contact with your business, will have searched for you online. So they will have checked out your website, maybe been to your social channels, maybe read a blog or two. So it's really important that we do have, when people come searching, they find the right things, and we clearly and powerfully show the expertise that we all have. Now, none of us went into business to be amateurs. None of us went in to not be good at what we do. So, and yet most of us are quite poor at actually sharing clearly how we've helped people, putting up case studies of how we've helped someone, really demonstrating different ways that we can help them. I'm going to give you lots of examples as we work through this morning. So first of all, the first element, and that's what we're going to relook at today, is creating great content so that people find you. Next, we're going to share that content through the social media channels so that we can start a relationship, so that we can start forming friendships and followers, and we start to build a bit of an audience for what we are doing. Great to have your website optimized so people will actually find you, and we're going to look at ways to improve that you can do yourself. It's not some dark art that you are led to believe. I do believe in this world, and certainly now with how the algorithms have changed on social media, you do need to be paying to get this content seen, and we're going to show you examples in the next webinar where literally sort of $10–20 a week can make a huge difference to the amount of eyes that see everything that you're doing. And then finally, as part of your digital marketing mix, and how it all holds together, is we use email. Email is still and remains the biggest driver of sales in digital marketing, and it's kind of, I call it the glue that holds everything together. So we're going to use the other platforms to search, first of all, get found and searched, and so people, and then we start to build trust with people through the content that we're sharing. And we're very generous, we educate, we inspire, and then we bring people into our world, and they give us their email address, and we stay in contact with them, whether they're paying customers or whether they are potential prospects. So if you can put all these pieces together, you end up with a very efficient, easy to operate digital marketing machine. And while it kind of looks intimidating when you see it all written out like that, just one step at a time, we're going to guide you through how to do that. So today we're going to look at that content piece. The next webinar next week, next Tuesday, same time, we're going to look at what's working on social media and paid advertising. The final webinar, we're just looking at email marketing because it's so important. And SEO, we've got some free resources for you, and we'll be touching on it. And as you go through today, you'll see how we can help you just get found on your own website. So that's how we're going to cover it. Now, I just want you to bear in mind that this is a long game. Most people treat digital marketing almost like speed dating, and they rush online, and all they share are offers, and they try to sell right from the get-go. And that isn't how it works. It is definitely treat your marketing, any marketing, digital or offline, as if you are meeting somebody at a networking event, and you are going to very gradually get to know them. They're going to share things about themselves, and you're going to share things about you, and gradually a relationship's formed, and importantly, trust is formed. And trust is the key word here. So we are replicating through our digital marketing, forming relationships with people. So every time you go to do something in digital, on your website, on your social channels, would you say this? Would you do this to people that you've met at networking and the networkers that you know? And I think if you have that in the back of your mind, you'll come at it from a different angle, and it's so important. So we are going to build assets as we work through the processes here. We're building assets for you so that people, you're going to create something that you will use long term and in many different ways. We're not here to tell you need to be creating a new Facebook post every single day from scratch. That is not how it works. But definitely bear in mind, it's about the longer game. So very quickly, and I don't want to bombard you with kind of terms and technical things, but this is how we would look at it. And when we are working with a client, you start at the bottom there, and the clients are not aware of you. They don't know you exist. And in some cases, they probably don't even know that your type of service or product exists. So they need to be at least aware. They've come across your Facebook post, they've read one of your blogs, they've met you at networking, they've kind of stumbled on you. And a lot of the first part of digital marketing is just to grow that awareness. And that's what today is definitely all about. And then they start engaging. So they watch your video, they may do a comment, they may share, they may save your video, they may click through to your website. So this is you at the networking event. The equivalent is you just getting to know someone. Now, if you rush up to someone at that networking event and literally just try and sell, we've all been to networking events, I'm sure, or parties in the back garden, and we've met people who just talk about themselves. And the instant reaction, exactly what happens, is that we all just step away. And we don't want to be known with those people. We don't trust those people. That's not how relationships are formed. So you start engaging, and that's what I mean about the longer game. And then people ultimately, at the first instance, in some way, they subscribe. So they may swap, and they might give your email address in return for some content. They may phone you and give you their details. They may fill out a form on the website. Usually that first kind of subscribing doesn't involve money. It's all about just getting to know them and then building trust, and and you are now on the list. You are potentially going to solve their problem for you, and they are sort of delving a bit further. Obviously, then we go on through, and some of those become paying customers, and we need to keep them excited as customers. And the aim of any business is to either repeat sell, if that's the type of service you have, or at least have very happy clients who are very keen to advocate you and send referrals and promote your business for you. So we talk about it as a journey, but really all it is replicating, building a relationship, and all sales start with a conversation. Now, I know that, taking all this new stuff on can be daunting, and it's easy to step back. And I've got a great quote there from Abraham Maslow. So growth must be chosen again and again. Fear must be overcome again and again. Your business needs you right now. Never before have we needed you to kind of step up as the leader of your business and to add strength and depth. Now, we heard the word pivot last year way too many times, but a lot of businesses were able to make changes and bring in an online digital aspect to their business that added strength and gives them options should dreadfully that we go into any kind of lockdown again. Now, that's what we're all about here, and I'm encouraging you. Everything can be learned. None of the things, I am not a technical person, I'm not a programmer or anything technical in those ways, but I have learned to use the tools that help me grow my business. Just a little bit of background on me. Back in the UK, I ran a chain of beauty salons for 25 plus years. I had 7 salons for a long time and ended up with 4 in the end. And I was a bit bored. I was tired of I always felt I was a busy fool. That's exactly how I'd call myself. I was rushing around. I was trying this little technique. I was trying that, and I always believed the next product, the next service would save my business. And the only thing that saved my business was that I learned how to do marketing. So we went from 4 salons to 1. We doubled the turnover, and I worked half the time. And that's because I knew how to attract and bring in quality customers. And I just put in time, and you can't learn all this in one go, just learn one thing at a time. And the way I did that was doing that in what I call my 90-minute chunks. Scientifically, this has been proven that the brain can sort of last for a good 90 minutes and then needs a 20-minute rest. It's called the basic rest activity cycle, if you're interested. But I basically started, and I did 1 or 2 90 minutes a week working on my business rather than in it, doing all the juggling that I was doing. In the end, I got up to 90 minutes a day. And in those 90 minutes, majority of that time working on my business was to set up marketing. And literally by doing that, within 3 months, I completely transformed the business, and my life and my stress levels. So, you know, I suppose that's why we're here today. That's what I wanted to share with you. Can you put in your diary 90-minute chunks of working on your business? We're going to give you the first 90-minute thing to do at the end of this webinar today. That will allow you to step out from your business and, you know, actually work on it, because I firmly believe, a quote from me, it is your job as the business owner to put into place a reliable and strong system, a marketing system that consistently attracts new clients and keeps existing clients delighted. I know that for probably the first 10, 15 years of my business, I ran on hope marketing. I hoped that somebody would see my sign on the street. I hoped that they would see my ad in the newspaper. I hoped that they would come into our salons. And guess what? That didn't work. Or it was very, you know, unsteady, unreliable. I had no idea if the phone was going to ring or not. Once I learned how to do this, everything changed, and you can do this too. And like I say, we've got more tools and more opportunities than we've ever had. Before, we could have never ever targeted the exact right people, which you can now on Facebook. So that's what we're going to share with you. So, old school advertising, and there's been a huge shift, obviously, on how we reach our audiences and the potential customers. We used to pay to be in publications, so yellow pages, newspapers, and magazines. So we would pay them. They would, if you like, bring together the readership, and then we would pay to go, and TV is part of that as well. So then we would pay to be on that media because that's where the audiences was. And now that has all changed, and people are getting their news, they are getting up to date. They think they're learning how to do things online. They are not, you know, that's the, you know, the decline of the printed press, if you like. And you are now a publisher. So I think that is exciting, and you'll gather my excitement, I'm sure, as we go through these webinars. But also, I appreciate that can feel quite onerous. So just start with one thing and work your way through. This book, for me, had a big impact. This is the revised version. So a guy called Marcus Sheridan. Honest, transparent content is the greatest sales and trust building tool in the world, period. So Marcus ran a fiberglass swimming pool company based over in the States. We were going into recession, I think it was around 2000, and his business was literally teetering on the brink of bankruptcy. And so he started creating content. And by that, I mean, he created information that answered any question any potential customer could ever have. So he did that through video and the written word. And in the end, he has still a huge bank of content. So you could ask him anything. So how, you know, from the colour of your fiberglass swimming pool to comparing it to other standard swimming pools, to the costs, he just literally created a huge amount of content. And it turned his business around into a multi-million dollar success story by creating content. Now, I know that you're probably sitting there thinking, oh, I'm not an author, I'm not, and I'm going to give you some ways to do that and then make it a lot easier. If you really want to get into this and really want to get into inbound marketing, then that is definitely a way to go. What we're talking about here is that people discover you. And there's something called the mere exposure effect, sometimes called the familiarity principle. Just by seeing you and your business lots of times builds trust. It's that, like, again, we'll take it back to the networking scenario. I go networking and I see people every week, week in, week out, and I get to know them, and I hear how they've helped their customers, and I see the new products that they've done. I go to an event that they've organised and I get to know them. And by that length of time and by that being exposed to them a number of times, then I start to build trust with them so that I'm confident to refer them to my family and friends. So we need to be showing up a lot more than we ever did. And again, don't be panicking. I'm not going to give you lots of individual posts to do every day. But when people do see you, your potential customers need to feel that they've been seen and understood, so that you are exactly the right solution for them. I think if you do get into that book by Marcus Sheridan, you'll see that there's lots of things that people often are reluctant to talk about price, and he was really upfront about his prices. And that just, when he went out to meet people, they were very aware of everything he had to offer, and he's got over all the original obstacles, and people weren't using price as an excuse to say no. So back in 2005, they kind of reckoned customers needed to see us just over 4 times before they oh yeah, I must give these guys a ring. In 2020, the latest stats were 20 plus times. So how can you show up more than 20 times without annoying people? I hear you ask. So we are going to add value in our content. We're going to spark conversations. We are going to demonstrate expertise, and we're going to be really real and authentic. And so, when you first create content, and we're going to show you how and give you some good examples in a second, it is not about making a sale, and that's that long-term game, and that is that part of that little customer journey where we talk about creating awareness. You are not in it to start with to drive a sale through and to get an offer. You are in it to build trust so that people know. So we need to be giving away content. We need to be sharing our expertise for free, with no kind of caveats, we're not going to sell from it. If you get this right, you can literally, we have taken companies that have had 1,000% uplift in sales when a proper content strategy is put in place. And as we've said, it's about building relationships and starting to get seen, so that mere exposure effect comes through. So the overall strategy then that we'll cover in a bit more detail over these is all our ducks lined up, is we are going to create great content consistently, and that's what we're going to look at today. We are then going to pay to play, and we're going to show you how to do that. We're going to track who has in some way reacted to the content. So they have watched a video, they've put their hand up, they've commented on something, they've shared or saved one of your posts, and then we're going to go back to them with some very targeted ads, and now and again in those ads we're going to make them an offer to move through that customer journey, and at least get to know us a bit more, or come into an event, or make that first initial contact to start working with your business. So that's how it all holds together. So how on earth do you go about creating this? Sometimes people call it pillar content, sometimes foundation content. And the idea is that literally, if you build enough pillars of content on your own website, it will dramatically improve your SEO, because your website will be filled with content all around how you help people. And again, we'll look at some examples in a second. And it gives you all of your content, or the majority of your content, ready to splinter over onto social media. So what we're asking you to do is to create a very strong, sort of longer than a normal blog post, really good piece of content that answers one of the questions that your customers are asking. So we create that one bit. It could be a white paper, it could be an ebook, it could be, and these are all going on your website, and we'll talk about that in a second. And then we're going to repurpose it and turn it into multiple bits of content that we can use time and time again. So I'll give you an example, and I'll come back to my splinters. So this was a content pillar content that we created for a local business, so winter pool care, okay? And from that, so that was on their website, and you could download it off their website. From that then, that gave us information, useful, helpful, educational piece of content that we could share. Some of that content we turned into videos. There was the guide, we made it look really nice, and that was where you downloaded it online. So you can see that we're creating one piece of content, and we're going to multiple use it across the other channels. So that being seen multiple times, mere exposure starts to come into effect. You are not individually creating one post, you are creating one great piece that really gets into the detail, really answers, what do your customers ask you all the time? What questions do you reply on email to all the time? If you work on your own, really have a think about the conversations you've had with customers, or if you've got a sales team, pick their brains. What questions and information do would-be customers ask your business all the time? And then you go ahead and you create a really strong piece of content that clearly explains and answers that questions. So we have created for you in the resources how to write that pillar post, how to pull it together, ways of doing it, and again I'll show you some examples in a second. You want to choose a topic that is broad enough, so you've got this one big piece of content, and then you could have supplementary bits of content that link into it. If you do that, if on your website you have a very long, and we're hopefully looking here about 2,000 words piece of content on your website. So for example, if I tried to write a piece of pillar content on social media marketing, it would kind of be too broad. But if I did it on Instagram marketing, I could have an overview post. I could easily write 2,000 words all on Instagram. And then I could have smaller articles that I can splinter and share, maybe just on Instagram stories, one on Instagram ads, one on Instagram reels, so that we are linking them all together. Now, what that does for Google is tell them that on your website, you have loads of content, all linking and all relating to this one core topic that in my instance, my customers would love to know about. That helps your SEO. So that's one of the first little tips we've got for that. So let's just do so. What on earth are you going to write about? How do you know what to write about? So apart from the, kind of picking your own brains and your sales team, just go on to Google. Google will tell you exactly what people are searching for and the questions that they are answering. So I put in air conditioning here in this example, and you scroll down below the ads. Usually then you see people also ask, so how much does it cost to put in an air conditioning room? What's the best heat pump in New Zealand? Now, those are the actual words that people are typing into Google around that topic. So if you're an air conditioning unit, I would be creating an article entitled, what's the best heat pump in New Zealand? How much does it cost to put an air conditioning unit in? And on we go. And then if you click on one of those questions, you start to see more questions arrive. So I clicked on the first one, and then down below you start to see further questions. This is telling you these are the actual terms, and if they're shown up on the list, the most looked at questions that people are asking around that topic. What's your equivalent? Literally a 5-minute search on Google will help you really find this content. So I put the best accommodation in Selwyn. And again, so what the best hotels came up, but then it's what's the best, what accommodation has the nicest views, what hotels are good for couples. You can see how the questions, so if you imagine that you go away and create a bit of content around that, if that's what people are Googling, you use that exact title in the title of your article on your website, then you're way more likely to be found through Google, and you have loads of content now that we can splinter through all of your marketing. Sometimes it doesn't have the questions, so I put in here best kids activities in Queenstown, in Christchurch, and if it doesn't come up with the questions, then the articles that appear are the most looked at. So these are the ones that have had the most hits. These are the ones that people are looking at. Now, if you look here, so Go Rentals has done 15 things to do in Christchurch with kids. They are creating content around their subject area. So if they have people, they know that the people who read that might be interested in renting a car or a camper van. You're creating an audience, if you like, of people who are interested around the topic that you put up. And the important part is that when you've created this pillar post, the first place you post it is onto your own website. So where does your website fit in this digital space? Your website is the digital channel that you own. All of the others are open to changes in algorithm, and they are great tools, by miles, and more people are on Facebook in New Zealand every single day than any other platform. But Facebook could change their rules tomorrow, and often do. So safeguard your website, put your great content on your website, and then we splinter that out across the channels. So a little word of warning, just an interesting story. Back in 2013, Stampy Longhead was creating content, teaching people how to use Minecraft, the online game. And he only used YouTube. He had all of his videos on there. At that point in time, he was generating just over $1 million a year. Was said to be worth. At that point, he had 9 million subscribers. Things were going really, really great until the 2nd of December in 2013, and YouTube took down his channel. Overnight, his business was gone. The livelihood of himself and his team was completely wiped out because he had no backup. He was literally just relying on a channel that he had no control over. So just look at all the social channels as tools, just as you used the newspaper before, Yellow Pages before. They are just a tool to drive people to your online digital space, which is your website, and to get people to phone you, come in to see you, whatever that is. So we're going to create this core pillar content, and then we're going to splinter it and use it in multiple ways. Now, the example we just showed you, in fact, this one again. So this was a free guide, how to keep your home warm in winter. So again, it was a downloadable, a nice meaty piece. And then we were putting up posts. Now, not all of that guide, these guys want to sell heat pumps, but not all of that guide was about heat pumps. There was other things, unrelated things, but we knew that if we could capture an audience of people who were interested in keeping their home warm in New Zealand in winter, then they may well be interested in having a heat pump. So we created lots, we put videos, we splintered all those little tips that we put in there, splintered them out, and created, we had all our social content. Now that one is winter specific, but once you've created these pillar posts, they last for months, if not years ahead. So next winter, we can go back to that content and splinter out content again. Same for the swimming pool one. You will have some that are not seasonal. So you're creating really good posts we splinter it across social channels. We put a little bit of money behind some of them, and then we go back to people who show an interest. So it sounds complicated, but let me just put it in simple terms. So this is a garden centre that we work with. They write really lovely articles on their website on all aspects of garden. You can imagine the wealth of content that they can create. We splinter that across their social channels. We put a bit of money behind some of those posts, so more eyes are seeing it. And then we remarket. We go back to the people who have watched the video or have engaged with us, and we invite them in to join the free gardening club. The garden club then emails all members every single Thursday. Now that is a very simple but very effective digital marketing plan, and that's what we're talking about here. So you can easily have your equivalent of this. That there's consistency is the word that comes through here. There's lots of pillar content. We've got the Rose Guide has just gone mad. People are really going for that. I mean, on the last one here, you see sort of over 2,000 people this week and 78 engagements just by sharing a recipe. So that's how it's all holding together. Now, this business has strength because should tomorrow Facebook crash, they're on multiple social channels, but we have the email list. So we've always got our garden club. We can always sell. And then they support this marketing with offline events. So we have events, we have, how to do rose pruning, how to look after your lawn, sort of face-to-face offline, but we push them and market them all on the social channels. So I hope that helps you kind of see how it all holds together. So we have put together in your and free resources, how to go about and structure that first piece of pillar content. We are asking you to do that in your first 90-minute session. And we've also included this, which is the sort of software and apps that we use to sort of make life easier. Now, you're certainly not going to need all of these, but one of two of them will really make it easy. If you're sitting there thinking, there's no way I can write content, then just record it. You've got a smartphone. You can record into your voicemail and this into your voice memo, and there are the software included in that resource for you, which such as rev.com, they charge $1 a minute. So you send them in the audio recording and they transcribe it for you and send it back. So if you're not a writer, you might, I often do this when I'm in the car. So I'm driving along and I put my voice memo on and I record a blog. I record an article. I record a piece of training that I'm going to do. So that's how, just sort of to make it easier. Also in there's something you probably will want to come across, and it's something called canva.com. And that really helps you produce videos as well as static images. Now they've got thousands of royalty-free images and just some really nice layouts and templates, all the different sizes for all the different channels. So Canva's in there as well. So that's my first piece then. That's the bit I really want to get over today, was let's start creating great content. And over the next 2 seminars, I'm going to show you how to really take that content and get people to see it. The final piece of what we're going to look at today then is Google My Business. I touched on it at the beginning. We've looked at some of these figures. Remember, 46% of searches are local, and 68% of those are either to get directions or click to call. I want you to be able to make the most. This is a completely free thing that Google give us all. So what do I mean? Well, when you Google anything, so I've done children's activity in Queenstown in this example, above here on the page, there will be the guys that are paying ads to be seen in that. And then Google at the moment in their current format pull through 3 businesses. And what we're trying to do is to get you found there and for you to appear on this map. If I click on one of those, then this is what your actual Google listing looks like. A couple of things to note here. And we're going to go through in some more detail in a second. What is your eye drawn to? Almost definitely the reviews stand out on this. So, these guys, they just need one more and they've got 1,000 reviews. If you are a parent looking to take your child somewhere around Queenstown, which one are you going to go to? Which one of these would you choose? And this is an even starker kind of example of why those Google reviews really matter. So I put in accountant Rolleston. This is an ad, so they're paying to get there, but they have got 12 5-star reviews, and these guys have got none. And again, where would your business sit? Where would you sit with this? So inside your Google My Business account, this is kind of inside. If you don't have Google My Business set up, literally type that in. It's very intuitive. You get a button that says manage, and you work your way through and you set up an account completely for free. This is to tell Google what you do and how and if they should push you forward on their listings. You do then have to go through a verification process, and they then do send you a little piece of paper, bizarrely, with their code on that verifies that you do exist at the address that you put in. So once you've got your account set up, this is what it looks like, and there are multiple things that we can work on here, and we're going to talk through some of these in a second. So here we've put up a post. Okay, that's the example. And this is, so I've gone to click one of those buttons, so I can either create an offer, do what's new, create an event, put up a product, or add update. Now, most people are not using their Google My Business. You may well have your basic information put up, and please do check that it's the most current telephone number and the most current website. But there are all these new options. So are you adding in posts? If you're going to create content that goes on your website, it would be really smart to put up a post or create an event or really talk about what's new on Google as well, and it goes onto your listing. Now, majority of your competitors are not doing this. They are not doing anything with it. They've set it up once and they've forgotten it. Now, if you put a post up on Google, it's up for 7 days, unless you choose an offer or an event where you can have a beginning, like here, a start and an end date. And even more exciting, if you choose the what's new or the add update button, there's even a sign up option. So you could link it through to a sign up form or into your diary or something like that. So this is what posts look like. So you can have a book now. These guys they've done a post that's a buy now. You can go literally add a call to action. So straight off of Google, remember how many searches are done on Google? Straight off that search, I could go straight in and buy this. And this is what it looks like on their actual profile. So I've got a buy option, I've got to learn more. In simple terms, the more love you give your Google My Business account, the more love you give it, the higher you are going to rank and the more likely you are going to be found when people are doing those Google searches. I encourage you to at least once a month go in and do some of this. Now, again, we've made this really simple for you. So we've created a checklist. This is inside the resources that we've put together exactly just for this seminar. So how to load in photos. None of these videos, we've got videos and documents. I think within half an hour, you could have watched all the videos. It is a really simple thing to do. You don't need to be technical at all. You can add as many photos as you like to your Google listing. There are some restrictions on video length, but again, you can add videos, you can put in posts, you can create Q&A, and we're going to show you a little bit on how to ask for more reviews. So we've created a few videos there for you. Again, there's that link so that you can go through, and the first thing I encourage you to do today, tomorrow, whenever is good for you, is to update and utilize your Google My Business listing. We've seen where the traffic goes, and that would really help you. We ran a webinar, a workshop for this a couple of weeks ago. We run a marketing club. It's a local networking group, and we look at once a month, we sit around the table and actually get some marketing done. One of the members put up a post, and on the way home from that very workshop, they got a call straight off of their Google listing from the post that they'd put up. Now that's smart. We're just working on a new client, and they've had a 55% uplift in the people visiting their own website. So just a really smart thing to do, completely free, won't cost you anything. Videos there in half an hour, you will have covered all of those and you'll be able to do it. Then we encourage you in your second 90 minutes maybe, is to brainstorm ideas and answer any potential question a customer could have, cover any objections a customer could have, write about a case study, how you've particularly helped somebody, pull out one of the products that you sell and really in a lot of detail explain why it's so good, how it's made. There's a whole heap of things, but really we've got you the action sheet and the guide in the resources. Really think about writing content and getting that first pillar post. If you have to, if you just want to go to video and get video and talk about it, that's great. If you want to record it and then have it transcribed, that's great too. And then publish that to your website. So they are first steps first, and I honestly know, and we've tested it time and time again, that if you do work through this and do get these things in place, and it really will make a difference. I don't believe that that's too onerous. I believe that we all learn new tricks, things. I mean, none of us knew how to use Zoom a year ago, and here we all are. So things change all the time, and learning to make these steps and make it part of your diary. So when you do your 90 minutes, they go into your diary and they become as important as a customer appointment. So, you know, they go in first, really. They're the sort of big pebbles that I put in my diary, the working on my business. I've seen what happens. I've worked with businesses, I coach businesses, and I've helped them. And when they do put in that 90 minutes to actually work on their business and get out of the noise of the business, the quicker it will go. So the easier and more powerful your marketing will be. And it also gives you a sense of really running your business and, you know, making it all get, you know, you kind of take ownership of it. And when it starts to work, it's very rewarding and you start to fall back in love with the business. And everything's not as stressful. So there's that link again. That's where you access all the resources that we've talked through. I want to thank you for joining us today. We're going to come back and I'm going to see if there's any questions. We are back next week. We are so next Tuesday we are here again, same time, and we're going to be looking at what is working now in marketing, and we're going to be really looking at social media. That's what we specialize in, and doing paid ads and how you can do that. And I totally believe that in one of your 90 minutes a week, you can have all of your social media and all your ads up and running and being able to track the results of them. So that's my opening webinar. I hope that's been useful. I'll answer any questions now. I'll come out of the webinar and we'll see if we've got any questions because I'm not seeing them at the moment. Let's stop share. So let's see, have we got any questions? I'm not seeing them, but I think the question that I get asked the most probably, oh, there we go, we're popping up now, there's a couple. Yeah, so someone's asked if there will be recorded versions of these. They definitely will be. They are going to be on the Selwyn Council YouTube channel. So I'm sure that we'll send links out to you and I'll share those links. Once that first one's up, we'll put that up for you, so you can definitely come back. I know it's hard to you know, take it all in, and often it's easier to go back. So where do you put it on your website? So I mean, it can be usually a blog. Okay, so a blog, an article, or a dedicated space for your content. Now, what we tend to do, lovely feedback, thank you guys. What we tend to do is we'd have a blog page or an article page or a news. So you've got plenty of room, and on those pillar posts, the bigger ones, you want to be reaching around 2,000 words. So, and you want to break it up with some good pictures. You might have a little bit of audio in there. You might even jump on and do a little mini video in there. So you just want a dedicated space. But the important part is the URL. So it might be just as I've done for the link for this. So I've got, you know, nichemarketing.co/. Then it's the next sentence. It needs to be, that headline needs to be probably what you've researched on Google. So it needs to be, you know, why do I use you know, what's the best heat pump for a house in New Zealand? Or so that Google, if someone types that in, those are the exact words, and Google will find your content. I think important to realize is that Google and all the social channels are literally wanting to keep their customers on their channels and give them the information that they're looking for. So the amount of, you know, money and everything that's being spent on the AI and everything behind these platforms and the algorithms is huge. They want people to stay there. So they want to know that if I've asked that exact question, if I've typed that in and then there's an article with that exact title, then you're way more likely to be found. So that's what you're going to do. And one thing I haven't mentioned, which I think is important in the last couple of minutes, is that there's a lot more voice searches going on now. The whole AI. So we've got Siri, we've got Alexa. You know, Google have got their own guest host coming up as well. So as AI comes in, the sort of terms that people are, so they might have just put in heat pump before, and now because people are doing it through voice, the terms are becoming longer. So there's just something to bear in mind, and kind of what would you ask for? What do your customers ask for when they're searching for things? I'm glad it's been informative. We've got some lovely feedback going on there. So yes, Kim, once I've once we've created that content, then we splinter little bits of it. And that's what we're definitely going to cover next Tuesday, on how to do that and how to make that really powerful. So you might take a stat from it. You might take a little element of it. So just as we did on the examples, we just took one of the facts, one of the tips on how to keep your house warm, and we splinter that. And once, if you did one pillar post a month, within a year, you're going to have 12. Imagine if you did 2 a month. You know, you'd have 24 pillar posts that you are constantly splintering across all of the other channels. And that way you get seen, and that mere exposure effect works, and you're only doing something once and it's been really useful to get your website found. So yeah, so the resources then, it is so it's just nichemarketing.co.nz/Selwyn-webinar. Okay, so, and I'm sure Selwyn Council will put that on as well. Let's see if you can get more memberships. So I'm just trying to read it. I'm attending the webinar. We can get more membership. Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, whatever you're advertising, the model that I'm sharing with you, it doesn't matter what you do, whether you sell products and services online, whether you have a local service or business, this model works. So it's kind of making sure that if people come searching, there's so much content. That's how, you know, Marcus Sheridan did it for his fiberglass swimming pools. There was so much content on fiberglass that Google just kept pushing him forward, because he was the go-to, the trusted resource that answered everybody's questions. So that model, I believe, works for every business, and we use this across all the clients that we work with. So I'm going to leave it there. I think we are, oh, we've got 2 minutes. Yeah, so we're just about dead on time. Yeah, we will be covering, Margaret's asked about Facebook page. Yes, we will be covering kind of how to splinter content, and then I will do, just as I have today, next week's webinar, we'll have some extra little videos and things behind it, just to help you, you know, I understand that these things are hard and Facebook changes all the time, and every time I log in, there's something new. So we'll try and keep that as easy as possible. And if you just did 1 or 2 things in there really well, consistently, like we do for the garden centre, then you'll see a big difference. So thanks to everyone that's attended, and I look forward to seeing you next week.